first thing I do with my feeds is wet down my Maxi Soy. I feed Maxi Soy as a really good high quality fiber. It matches hay on a weight to weight basis of the amount of calories that your horse is getting, but it's really low in starch. So it's low in sugar, low GI, and it's going to provide a slow release energy for your horses. Okay, so it's going to help optimize their performance. They're not going to get that spike of insulin that you get from sugar where they then drop really quickly in energy. It's a slow release energy, and it's also going to help maintain and build weight and condition. It's 100% made from soy hull, so really good. It's got no added molasses, so no added sugar, and yeah, I just add in a scoop to my big bucket and wet it down, and that feeds 5 of my horses in the morning. So now I feed all my horses chaff. I feed a little bit less than what I used to now that I've added in Maxi Soy, as that's an added fiber as well. But I like feeding chaff as it helps to line your horse's stomach and just give them that added volume to their feed. I feed mixed chaff. It's mixed with lucerne and oaten, and it just helps prevent stomach ulcers because again, it's just lining their stomach, so they're not going to have that acid splashing up when you work them. I also feed Fiber Protect. This is probably one of my favorite feeds. I started feeding it back in 2018 when I had Gundy, who used to colic a fair bit. It's a fermented chaff, so again, it's adding that extra fiber, which is so important. But it really helps in preventing colic, so improving your horse's gut health. And it's just giving them, again, that slow release energy as it's got no starch in it. The way I pull it out is I just kind of keep cutting down the sides of the bag and then pulling out chunks and breaking it up into my little pan here. So I break it up. I feed my horses a scoop of this. You can see it's just that nice fiber. It looks like hay or chaff, but if you smell it, you can smell the fermented chaff in it, which is just really good for gut health. So the pellet that I feed is easygoing. It's an extruded cube, so the cube size of it is really easy for the horses to eat. And extruded just means that it's cooked, which helps to keep grain out of the horse's hindgut and produce a calm energy. So it makes them still responsive, they still have lots of energy, but they're not getting that hot fizziness that they get from grain. Okay, so it's a really calm feed, good for your performance competition horses. It's really good for building up the horse's muscle and top line because it's jam-packed with heaps of amino acids, which are your proteins. And it's also full of vitamins, trace minerals, all the good stuff that you need your performance horses to be getting. So now the Maxi Soy is all soaked and it becomes this really nice mash for the horses to eat. I make mine quite wet because I then don't add any extra water. So I want the horses' feed to be quite wet so that it's easy for them to digest. Never feed your horses dry feed because it can cause them to choke. Okay, so dry feed can clog up into a little ball in the horse's throat and they're unable to cough or vomit that out. Okay, so we want wet feed that's easy for them to digest all the way through. Making this quite wet is also a really good way of helping your horse stay hydrated. So when you're traveling, feeding them a bit of wet mash is a good way to get their water intake up, as they're more likely to eat this than they are to drink water, and they're still getting the same amount of water. Okay. So one of the added supplements that I give my horses is Dynavite. It really helps with the, as you can see, the microbiome support. So that's all their gut health, their digestion, helps with their skin and coat condition, and also building up muscle and top line and just their general fatness and health. I feed it to all my horses. I give them 120 mils at the moment just because we're in a intense part of the season, and I'm also getting my 2 that are flying ready to fly, so I'm wanting them to be really healthy before they go. But in general, I'd normally give them 60 mils. If you ever had a horse colic, this is something I would give them straight away as well, just in a syringe down their throat, giving it to them orally as it gets the gut moving. So it's really good for that. And also giving it to them before and after travel and after cross country. Now, the only other supplement I give my horses is Mag E. I give this to all my competition horses. In the lead up to a competition, they get 2 scoops. It helps them just to stay nice and calm, and then the magnesium in it I think is really good for muscle recovery. Magnesium is something that people can take as well, just to help relax their muscles, settle them down. So I think it's great for our horses that are in work. So hay is another really important part of your horse's diet. It's just adding in that really essential roughage along with like your chaff, your fiber protect, and your maxi soy. They're all adding roughage and fiber into your horse's feed. The roughage is important again because it helps line the horse's stomach and gives them that more natural way of eating that they would be in the wild, of being horses and animals that graze all the time. So they're constantly creating that saliva and digesting food. I feed grassy lucerne. I find if I give my horses just grassy hay, a lot of them don't eat it. So I add a little bit of lucerne so that it's more enjoyable for them, but it's not got the same really high level of sugar as your straight lucerne does. Mine just get a biscuit of hay morning and night.